wrong. Like if Second Samuel, he was given a command, and First
So you want to know
Chronicles.
what David did wrong, or you want to know who moved David to number Israel?
Uh,
I don't know. I'm confused.
I think it's both. I think maybe God allowed the devil to tempt David. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
too
well you
sure.
got the answer. So God is the one who allowed Satan to move him. So what do you think was wrong? What was David looking to? What was he trusting in?
His own ability, like his own resources, and
Well, you answered it. So why was it hard? David is showing more trust in the size of Israel and the size of his army and in his resources than God, and that angered God. That's why even Joab says, "Why are you doing this?" Right? Have you read the accounts? He goes, "Why are you numbering?"
yeah, I remember. I thought he was. It was. I thought Joab was trying to praise him. I didn't
No,
know he
no, he
was
said, no, it
giving.
wasn't praise. Why would you need to do this? Why do you need to number and take a census? Because God was showing that David started trusting in and resting in the size of the nation and the size of his army and all the resources. He started trusting in that as opposed to God. And that's why God exposed his heart.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense then.
You
Thank you.
understand now the context?
Yeah, yeah, he was. God was trying to show David that he was trusting himself more than him.
That's the whole context where he wants to, because even then you'll see, why are you numbering Israel? God has blessed us, but what's the need to number? Because David is now full of himself, and that now he goes, look at my kingdom, look at my wealth, look at the size of Israel, look at the size of my military. And so that caused him to trust in the size of the people, the number of people, the size of his military, and his resources. And he got puffed up and took his eyes off of God because he forgot how God took him from insignificant beginnings when he was nothing and made him great. So it wasn't the number of folks he had, the resources he had, it was the God that he trusted in that got him to this point.
Wow, yeah, that makes sense to me now.
See, so and you answered why one place says God and the other saying because Satan cannot move without God permitting him, right?
Yeah,
That's Job chapter 2. In Job 2, verse 1 to 3, Satan comes and wants to test Job, and he lets him do it, and then he comes again to try to test Job again. And God says, "You incited me against Job."
yeah,
But
that's what
God
I was
didn't.
thinking. That's what I was thinking because the pastor he said something slightly different, and I wasn't sure. Like, I wasn't sure. So did David think it was God speaking to him? I wasn't too clear on that, but yeah, I
That
think that
pastor's
makes
on
sense.
drugs. It wasn't Satan talking to him or God talking to him. That's not what the text says. It says that Satan moved David to do something to show his trust in his size, the size of the nation, military, and resources. So, what was in David's heart? His confidence in the amount of soldiers, the amount of Israelites, and the resources. So, Satan moved him to expose where his trust lay, not in God, but in his numbers.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, thank you.
Right? So,
Yeah.
God is now allowing Satan to move David to expose his heart, that he's trusting in the number of the people, the size of Israel, the population of Israel, his resources, his military. So that now God will have a just basis to punish him. In other words, to discipline him. Meaning what? Once David starts numbering Israel, see, God says, you see, you took shelter in, confidence in the number of the people as opposed to me. So that act of having a census to see how large the population was, how many soldiers he had, how many Israelites, that act now manifested because what's in his heart, only God has access to, right?
Yeah.
But when he then exposes what's in his heart by taking a census, now he's guilty in the eyes of people. So God is vindicated in punishing him. You see? He's now trusting
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
number of the population as opposed to me.
And so he, repents, understands what he's done wrong,
Yeah,
and
he
gets
understands.
that out of his
Do
heart.
you see
Yeah,
what
I
God is
think.
saying? God
Yeah, that
sees
applies to us.
God sees what's in your heart, right?
Yeah.
But in order for God to vindicate himself in front of others, meaning God doesn't have to, he doesn't have to answer anyone, but to show his character, what God is showing is his character, that when I punish someone, know full well they deserve it. So what does the Lord do? He knows what's in your heart, but I don't know what's in your heart. So in order for God to then vindicate himself in punishing you for the evil in your heart, he then will move you by immediate instrumental cause, Satan, to then expose what's in your heart. So now that sin in your heart is now in full view, and it's now unveiled, and everyone can see where your trust is. Now God can say, you see, his trust is not in me. His trust is in his numbers, and therefore I have to teach him a lesson.
Yeah, I think even us sometimes we might not know what's in our heart, and it's a heartbreaking story. I think.
You see that that was the lesson to be learned.
Yeah.